So I want to start by going over what you actually need in order to get the permit, okay? All of this information is going to be in the envelope that you get with your certificate, right? But again, I'm gonna go over all of this with you here, and then this will also be posted for you to reference back on the Google Classroom as well, okay? So this right here is the checklist that you're gonna get inside of the packet. So the very first thing on there is the DE 964. That is a little half sheet green certificate, and that's what we give you that says you have taken the written exam, you've passed it, so now you can go and get your permit, right? So now the next thing on there is proof of identity. You have to prove you are who you are. So if you have a state ID, that makes things very simple, okay? You just take that and boom, proof of you are who you are. If you don't have a state ID, then the easiest thing to take with you is your birth certificate and social security card, right? And with those two documents, you can be like, this is me. If you don't have access to either of those, then let me know. There is technically like a huge list of different documents that you can take for all of these things. I just typically just go over the most common, and then if you have an issue, just come and see me, and then we'll work it out one-on-one, and I'll go over all the options in detail. So that is to prove you are who you are. Next is proof of Texas residency. Right, so now you have to prove that you live in the state of Texas. So typically the way that gets done is the parent takes a bill, 2 bills with them and with the address, and then they're good to go. But the thing is, whoever's name is on the bill is the parent that has to go with you. So if both parents' name are on the bill, no big deal. But if mom's name is on the bill and dad's gonna take you, or if dad's name is on the bill and mom's going to take you, that becomes an issue, right? So like one of the most common situations that we have is like dad's a truck driver, the bills are in his name and he's never home, right? So it's like, how are you going to make that work? So if whoever's name on the bill, because sometimes it's not even that it's mom and dad, it's grandma, grandpa, Theo, Thea, whatever, their name's on the bill. If whoever's name is on the bill cannot go with you to DPS, get with us, right? And what we'll do is we'll get all the paperwork together ahead of time, and then we'll notarize it, okay? And you've seen those signs around notary public, right? All a notary is, in its simplest form, is a glorified fact checker. It's someone that the state of Texas has authorized to look over documents, put a little stamp on a piece of paper, and when they put that stamp on that paper, it says, truth, right? So I am a notary public in the state of Texas, right? So I have my own little truth stamp and stuff like that. So what we can do is we can get all the paperwork together ahead of time. I put my truth stamp on it. And then now you can just take the paperwork and that person doesn't have to go, right? So if that needs to happen, let us know. We can also do that with the application, right? Because sometimes the thing is DPS is only open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, right? Except for Tuesdays. So people work, you guys have school, right? So sometimes maybe brother, sister, grandma, grandpa, somebody else has to take you to DPS. If that's the case, we can also make that happen. We just have to notarize the paperwork ahead of time, right? So if we need to do that so that way somebody else can take you to DPS, or it's because the bills are in somebody else's name and they can't go with you to DPS, whatever, let us know, and then we can help you out with that paperwork. We'll deal with that individually. Next is proof of social security number. So bring your social security card. right? If you don't have your social security card, again, there are technically other papers that we could use, other documents, but it's best to just have the actual card. Now, here is where we run into some issues at times, right? A VOE. You guys need to get a verification of enrollment form filled out from the school. One of the requirements in order for you to have a license while you are under the age of 18 is that you need to be in good standing with the school, right? Which means that you need to be passing all of your classes and you can't have too many absences, right? So if you are unable to get a VOE because of your performance this 6 weeks or last 6 weeks, then what you're gonna have to do is get your ass in gear and do what you need to do, so that way the following 6 weeks you qualify and you can get your VOE and then you can get your permit and your license, okay? It's very difficult to get your license if you're not in good standing. Only under very, very, very rare circumstances. So if you have favors to call in, right, because a counselor, a vice principal, or a principal can sign off on the VOE. Normally you go to the attendance office and get it filled out there and all of that good stuff, but any counselor, any vice principal or principal can sign off on it. So if you got favors, you can call in. Cool. I've heard students say, hey, I'll take this class over the summer or whatever with their counselor. And it's like, okay, they make a deal or what. Gotta do what you gotta do, right? I cannot help you with the VOE. It has nothing to do with me. That's all you and the school. They don't even like it when I used to give you guys like a blank VOE to take to school, and they would get mad at you for trying to give it to them. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna step away. Now, the next thing on there is the DL14B, which is normally on the clipboards when you walk into DPS and they make you fill it out there on the clipboard. We give you one ahead of time so that way you can like fill it out in peace, right? And then it's going to be $16 when you get over there, right? You're going to do a vision test. You are going to take your picture, and then you'll walk out with a piece of paper with your picture on it. That is your temporary permit. With that, as soon as you walk out, you can legally drive with a licensed adult, 21 years of age or older. And that's when we can get you into the car and start your driving lessons. So that's when you can call us and start booking your lessons. Okay. Any question over this paperwork stuff here? I'm going to show you how to make your appointment with DPS and all of that good stuff here in a second. But just on like the paperwork and all of that stuff, any questions, comments, concerns? Okay. So now let's talk about booking the DPS. Down here, I put the closest DPS locations, right? You can go to DPS's website if you want to. I don't recommend it. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But if you go to our website, okay, on the main page there, I have this thing called resources. And when you click on resources, the very first thing is schedule DPS appointment. So if you click there, that will literally take you right to their appointment scheduler and to where you need to go. So boom, right? So what you're going to do is you'll click English or whatever you prefer, right? You'll put in your information, right? Cool, fun. Now here, sometimes their system is goofed up. You can use your the last four of your social if you want. I normally just tell people, don't even worry about it. Just like type in 1111. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure you remember whatever number that you type in there because that's technically your password for your account. You know what I mean? So when you click log on, you'll be like, make me a new appointment. Cool. So if you put in your social, your real social, and this apply for first time Texas DL/permit is in gray, because like maybe you have a state ID and their system is a little weird, then that's when you have to log out and then just do that like 11111 thing. But this is what we want: the apply for first time Texas DL/permit. So once you click there, you'll type in your information. So you do your phone number, you do your email, and then you can even tell them, hey, text me. I'd rather do that. And then we're just going to type in the FAR zip code and say, show me, right? And it'll put the closest one up at the very top. So the closest one to FAR is McAllen, right? But if you look, the next available appointment in McAllen is March 4th, right? And it is currently the 17th, right? So there's about a 2-week waiting period to actually go into the McAllen office, right? Edinburg, right, which is north of the university by the Monte Cristo exit, that's the one where you can get in the soonest. If you notice, today's the 17th, tomorrow they have appointments, right? So usually Edinburg is the one where you can get in the quickest. So what you're going to do is over here, these little arrows, if you click on the arrows, it'll take you to that location's schedule. So when I click on those arrows now, it's Edinburg up at the top. Right, so that's the one that it's going to be showing me. Next available date, tomorrow. So now if I come down here, yep, Edinburg Mega Center, cool, tomorrow. So Tuesdays, they're normally open later, but yeah, since it's so close, they don't have that many openings. But if I go to next week on Tuesday, you can see they have appointments all the way up to 5:20, right? That's the latest that they have the appointments, and that's only on Tuesdays, right? If you go to Wednesday, right, the latest that they're going to have is 4:40, right? So Tuesdays are normally the best day for you guys. That gives you the most time to get over there, and there's technically a 30-minute wiggle room for the appointment time. That's why the latest one's 5:20. That's typically the best way to do it. Now, once you get your permit, you technically are going to start, you can start on this log. All right, this is included in that packet that you're going to get when with your certificate. And you're supposed to log practice hours at home, right? If your parents want to wait until you start driving with us before you start putting in time here, cool, right? If you want to start right away, that's great. I'm not a huge fan of how this is set up, right? There's telling you to start off with 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. That's too much at the beginning, okay? 5-10 minutes, right? It's more important that you put in an hour's worth of time over several days versus just an hour on a weekend. You know what I mean? It's better to do 10 minutes a day than to try and find that 1 hour on the weekend, right? So that you put in 30 hours is more important that you put in the 30 hours exactly the way they tell you to on here, right? Now, you'll notice that there's these little categories, right? Getting ready and all that. On the second page, right, on the back side, they have like a little summary of what you should be going over. But the reality is most parents aren't trained to train you, right? They're not trained driving instructors, right? So they're not very good at teaching you how to drive, and they don't have a lot of experience at teaching how to drive, and they certainly don't have the correct knowledge, right? Necessarily all the time. So even though they have this little summary right here on that resources page, right? We have that parent log, but we also have a parent guide link, right? And this is like a 30 some odd page, yeah, like 30-page little pamphlet that explains to parents how to explain to you what you should be doing and all of that good stuff, right? So if your parents are kind of struggling a little bit, right, this is a resource for them to be able to use, or you can show it to them and be like, hey, maybe you want to read through this real quick so that way you know what we doing in here, right? But they break it down, right? This is the first part, getting ready, starting, placing the vehicle, right? And then moving, stopping, right? And you can see that it's going to line up with all of these little sections as we go down, right? Backing. And it's telling you exactly what you should be getting taught, right? So, Yep. We got all that. Cool. Any questions over the 30-hour log, the certificate, going to DPS, the paperwork that you need, any of that stuff? Of course you don't. Your parents are going to have a million questions, okay? So like I said, I'm going to throw up a recording of this, so that way you're like, I know he said something about it, right? You can just play it back for them, right? And be like, look, he shows us everything, right? And then you can do it that way, because they're going to have questions about stuff. There is really no, the certificate doesn't really expire, right, for you guys, for the exam. So it's not like you're at a super crunch, right? Now, the sooner that you go get the permit, the sooner that 6-month time frame starts, right? But I also like to let people know that it takes us 6 months to get the driving lessons done, right? Those 6 months, like, those don't start until you actually book an appointment with us. You know what I mean? So if you wait 3, 4, 5 months before you call us to book an appointment, don't expect to get all of your drives done before your 6-month date. It's going to take us 6 months to get the drives done. All right. So like, make sure as soon as you get that permit, you call us and start booking these appointments. So that way you can get the appointments done at the same time that you're able to get the exam done and get your license. Right, so don't delay too much. I mean, again,